Welcome, Phil Hellmuth, to Dare to Be Vital with Alan Mishra. Really appreciate you being here. Love the custom background. I'm not quite as fancy on Zoom as you, but thank you for taking some time. It's obviously a challenging time for many of us, and our hearts and prayers are with those people who are on the front lines and obviously those who are infected right now. I wanted to take a little bit of time, however, to look at the COVID virus, the coronavirus, and try to understand how you're coping with it, how you're trying to stay positive, and any suggestions you might have for all of us.
Yeah, I've been self-isolated for 21 days now. We did take a private plane 14 days ago for Draymond Green's surprise birthday party in LA. So, other than that, quick trip down and quick trip back, we were in and out in 6 hours. We wanted to show up for Draymond, and it was right before. We knew it was a little risky, but anyway, since that day, which is 14 days ago, we've completely self-isolated. I've occasionally walked to the coffee shop. Staying positive, I think, is not buying into the gloom and doom that the media presents, and it's not buying into the gloom and the doom that some of the people that text you present. I think you just have to stay level-headed. One of our biggest things, our stream of really, really smart people, who talk to the very tops of the government. We've been a little bit concerned, and we've been weighing the cost of destroying the economy versus the cost of, not destroying COVID-19. And so, it's a very, I think it's a good way to look at it. And so we've been a little bit like, wow, sometimes we wonder how many people will die when, known facts, 56% of the people out there don't have $1,000 saved, and a lot of them are going to lose jobs. More good news. So today, it looks like $3,000 will be sent to families, which should help for a little while. So, how do you balance it all, Alan? And, we went from kind of extreme to wondering, there's all these balances and all these potential. I would like to think that, one thing I've used in the past to stay positive when things seem bleak, when I had a bunch of money and then I didn't have as much money, is I always look to the future. And I always felt like the future's bright. And in this case, I think that really a lot of good stuff's coming. I think if you fast forward 2 years, and if you fast forward 5 years, the economy will be thriving, will be in great shape. But there's going to be a little bit of some tough times in the middle there.
Yeah, it's really hard, Phil. And I think I'm congenitally optimistic, but I've also been trying to look at the data. And I also believe in my colleagues. I'm obviously an orthopedic surgeon, so I'm not on the front line, but I see my ICU and ER colleagues really working very hard, not just to save people at the front line, but also to try and understand what are the other options and trying to be smart about looking at some data that's emerging with some malarial drugs, hydroxychloroquine and chloroquine, or azithromycin, which is a standard antibiotic. You might have heard of it as a Z-Pak.
It feels exactly the same. There was some evidence that, and here's the thing, this interview could later be looked at in a positive light or a negative light, you and I talking about this, but chloroquine, I think it's pronounced chloroquine.
Chloroquine. Chloroquine.
Well, according to the doctors, all right, maybe you're right. Some doctors.
Your chloroquine.
Whatever it is. And then the I can't even pronounce that one. And remdesivir, there's evidence that those two drugs were really making a huge difference. There's evidence that a much higher percentage of the population has this. There's evidence that the mortality rate, which was reported at 4%, then it came to 1.4%, and then it came to 0.8%, according to the South Korean data. And now there's data, just today showing it's, 0.5%.
Yeah, so it's changing every day, Phil, and I want to make it clear, I do not think this should be minimized at all. I just think we need to be a little bit like Peyton Manning at the line of scrimmage here and go, okay, here's the data that we have today. Do we need to change the play? And if we find that 80 or 90% of people who are treated with one of these drug regimens, if we can collate all that anecdotal data into a larger pot of data, we will have more evidence to suggest that that's a very good way to go. And we have to do this in real time, which makes us all uncomfortable and uncertain. And I think that's what I'm hearing people is generating anxiety. Anxiety for people about if they're going to get the virus, a lot of anxiety, as you suggested, about the economic implications of this for our country.
That's what my group is particularly concerned about, as I told you before. And that's just that, how many people die if we destroy the economy? 56%, I don't think I said this one in this interview yet, but 56% of the people don't have $1,000 put away.
Right.
And, and so we're just worried. I mean, how many people are going to, could we end up back with bread lines and some looting and, and stuff like that. And so then, it's very hard, but I think one thing that you and I 100% agree on is, and my group is, is pretty smart. One thing we agree on is that, we need more data. We need to have more random people tested and just see where this is. And it's just a very tough thing. But again, the future says that things are going to be very bright in the U.S. You see that people are pouring money into the U.S. dollar. It's going up crazy. It's considered a safe haven. So, and then beyond that, at a time like this, this is when also people can make some guesses and, and maybe put themselves in a good financial position. Maybe it's a time to buy stocks now. Maybe the market's going to fall another 20%.
Yeah, I know it's hard to tell. I think one thing that must be driving you much more crazy than me is I do enjoy playing poker, and I've always, I think it's been probably 7 or 8 years in a row I've gone to the World Series of Poker, and I'm wondering what's going on in the poker world. What are your poker buddies telling you, and how are you guys? Are you guys playing online a little more? Or
there are. I mean, a bunch of the biggest names, you could name them all. I don't want you to name them all. Are playing 500 and 1,000 mixed game limit, and it's a big game. And 10K buy-ins, 10K goes quickly in that game. So they're playing. Then there's a group of Wisconsin friends of mine that and there's a group of my Bay Area friends that will all get together, 6 or 7 of us across the screen on Zoom.
Yeah. And
it almost feels like we're playing, high stakes poker with each other. We're maybe playing low stakes on a friendly site. In my case, I've been very reluctant because I feel like I'm the one that has to be careful. But if you look at this, can you see this pineapple app right there? Is it showing through?
No, because you got your fancy screen going, Phil.
Okay, but anyway, yeah. So I've been playing some pineapple on this app that I just love, and we're playing high stakes pineapple. I'm playing somebody, $100 a point, and this person would be stuck $50,000. Now I'm up 8,000. But it's kind of like, so I'm playing Mike the Mouth Mattisau on the app. I'm playing, a bunch of people in the poker world on the app, and a bunch of my friends on the app. Yeah, and so that's kind of fun because, whereas I was trying to get away from playing too many hours a day, I have something to do for 6, 7, 8 hours a day. And you can also chat in the app and connect. And, this app is really nice.
That's awesome. I think that's one of the things that we're really missing is that social connection. And we actually had a little family poker thing via a Zoom last night, and very low stakes, Bill, $10, $20. But
great
people from across the country, and we celebrated one of my nephew's birthdays. And I think poker is a very social game. Do you think the World Series is going to go off this year, or do you think it's going to be postponed? Or
well, I asked them to wait 6, 8 days, 10 days, but unfortunately, the evidence that they may not have the World Series of Poker starting to mount. I thought as we saw chloroquine and remdesivir working, as we saw the mortality rate start to go down quite a bit, I thought that maybe, just maybe, by the end of May, the world be ready to congregate again. And so, unfortunately, I do think it's better safe than sorry, but better than safe than sorry. We also are considering the economic, unfortunately,
Maybe we need to have the World Series of Poker in November. The November 9 comes back, but it'd be in real time. You call up your buddies and you tell them, I want a spot. I want a free spot in the main event for that idea. Okay.
By the way, for your viewers, I'm looking up the pineapple game I play because there's just huge numbers playing on it, and it's just fun. It's like it's a puzzle,
So what's the name of it? It's called Pineapple?
Yeah, but there's a bunch of apps. So we're Pineapple 13 card poker. It pops up number 2 on the app. It looks like, let me just see if I can see who it's by. It's by Pineapple Games Limited.
Okay, so
Pineapple Games Limited, all the high stakes poker players. There's a ton of NBA players on there. A ton of really successful businessmen are playing this. And it's just kind of fun to move the cards. And, and it's a shame that online poker is outlawed right now, because I think this would be a kind of nice way. I mean, I'm a little bit bored, and I know you are, because you're used to working 80 hours a week.
Well, I'm actually incredibly invigorated, Phil. I have found what I really can do with my time, and I want to finish with a couple quick questions. And that, first of all, I hope your family's all good and everybody's staying safe and healthy.
Listen, I kicked my son Philip out of the kitchen area about 2 weeks ago. I said, listen, over 2 weeks ago, I said, listen, because we were seeing the data about 4% back then, and my friends were all taking this seriously. They all raised the drawbridge at their mansions. I'm rolling my ass, but I do think it's important. And so I told my son, it was a very unpopular decision 16 days ago when I canceled the Bachelor night. They were going to watch on a Thursday because we hadn't watched the show, the final. And I said, I'm canceling, because my son was still working, and, and is still to this day working. Because banking's essential. Right. And, and so he's been doing his job, and I'm proud of him. But at the same time, we kind of closed off the house, and now,
it's a challenge.
It's a little scary.
Well, it's a little scary for those of us who are a little bit older. We're not quite in the bad demographic,
yeah.
But I think the young people can get it, and there are obviously some examples of young people who have gotten it and had serious side effects, and I think even a couple of young people have died. But it's certainly the older population that has had to bear the brunt of this. I think, Phil, what we're going to find is we need this, and your positivity shared with the people in my network is going to be awesome. I hope we're not wrong in being optimistic. But even if we are wrong, I think a little optimism is important to spread these days.
Well, listen, you being optimistic does not ignore reality. There are times where optimism can ignore reality.
Right.
And I'm not saying that we should ignore what's happening in the world. Right. I'm saying that, a lot of the news as presented the first few weeks has gotten better and better and better. And then someone at home's watching this and saying, what do you mean we're having all these people die? Yesterday, I'm sure you saw the chart. Yesterday was the first time we had less cases reported than more cases in the U.S. for the first time.
Right.
And I think that has a lot to do with Americans doing a good job of social distancing.
I think we've also benefited from sort of seeing the tsunami come through China, come through especially Italy and Europe, and I think people are really trying to prepare. Bill, I think I'm going to let you go for now, but I really want to make sure that you and I connect up again. And I know you don't play the same stakes I do. Maybe I'll play you for $20 sometime. And give my best to your family.
Let me my last tip to the people at home who want some positivity, and I do not own any stock in Zoom. I wish I did. But it's amazing to me, you and I are doing this interview on Zoom. It's amazing to me how I can be sitting with 5 or 6 of my friends who I spend, 10 hours a week with, usually playing poker. and we can all be sitting across from each other, and we can all be looking at each other as 6 or 7 different pictures pop up at the screen at once. And it's just a way to connect, and it feels like we're teasing each other and we're laughing and we're having fun. It actually feels like we have a poker game going on there. And so I do think that, we don't have to cut off all social ties.
I agree. Phil, I couldn't have said it better myself. And I will see you again soon on Zoom, my friend. Thank you so much. Hashtag positivity and dare to be vital, my friend.
Take care, Alan.
Bye
Dare
now.
to be vital.